Hi there. Welcome back to another quick and easy watercolor painting. I'm Rod Bergeron, and today we're going to be doing something that's a little bit wintry, more than a little bit wintry. So I have wet the top 2/3 of this page, sort of about from the halfway down to about 2/3 over here. And I'm going to pick up a whole bunch of this Payne's gray, and I'm just going to streak it through like that. Okay, and it will all bleed off to wherever it is it's going to bleed off to. I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to rinse it out really well. This is a 3/4 inch flat, and I'm going to pick up a whole bunch of red. This is a really bright red, like a that's pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to let that just sort of bleed off to wherever it's going to go to, and I'm going to rinse this brush off. And I'm going to knock most of the water off that brush. And I'm going to pick this brush up dry. I'm going to go right to my Payne's gray, and I'm going to pick up a lot of Payne's gray fairly dry, even more than that. And I'm going to go across this tree line here, just like that. And again, I'm going to let this all bleed up into that red sky, okay? And if there's enough water on your page, it will start taking that Payne's gray, and it'll start bleeding it off into the sky back there. We're looking for a long, dark tree line. All right, so just let that, just keep tapping it. You can see I'm tapping it. There's no brush strokes or anything involved in that. And I'm going to take this, which is my #1 watercolor brush, but I've sharpened the tip of it here. And I'm going to just go through in a few places and push this Payne's gray up into that sky. Okay, because I want it to look like there's some trees sort of up in that sky up there. All right, that's turning out not too bad for us. I'm going to take this big honking brush again. I'm going to rinse it out. I'm going to pick up a whole bunch of yellow ochre. All right, now quite a bit of yellow ochre, and I'm just going to skip it along here all the way across there. And what you should get is the yellow ochre touches that Payne's gray and starts to suck some of that Payne's gray down into that yellow ochre like that. All right, now I'm going to put a little bit more like this, just to sort of create some areas that are sort of windswept, where there's maybe a little bit of vegetation showing up through the snow. And I'm just going to tap that in a few more places there like this. I'm going to add a little bit more pigment to a few areas. And I'm going to go back to the #1 watercolor brush that has this point on it. And I'm just going to add some vegetation sort of coming up through the snow in a few places like that. Okay, look at what's happening to our tree line back there. That's pretty cool. All right, now I'm going to go back to this big brush, and I'm going to pick up some sienna, fairly intense sienna. I'm going to add that into a few places here and there. All right, like that. Rinse this brush out again, and I'm going to pick up a little bit of this Payne's gray just in a few places, a little bit more intense than that. Just like that, and we're just going to let that bleed. Again, we're going to let that bleed to wherever it is that's going to bleed to. This is all coming together pretty nicely here. I have here a little bag of salt, and I'm just going to take a pinch, just a couple of granules of salt, and put it across the top of that sky, and maybe a few in around our snow across the bottom here. All right, now we need to let this completely air dry. Don't dry it with a dryer or anything, just let it completely air dry. and see what we get. Anyways, I think there's a lot more that we could do to this. So I have here, this is my number 4 round watercolor brush, and I have some Payne's gray on here. But I'm going to paint some trees right over top of this whole thing that we have here. And I'm just going to make long linear lines coming right off the page, coming right up, and then I'm lifting off at the end, and just like that. That's pretty nice. Okay, so I'm going to switch from this fairly large brush to a smaller one. This is a number 1 round watercolor brush, and I'm going to pick up this paint a little bit more intensely. And again, I'm going to go over these things several times here, and I'm going to lift off. So this paint is quite a bit more intense than the previous time I've gone over this. And just lift off at the end, okay? So you get a nice point to your... All right, one more time by, and we're going to take this brush and we're going to put it right onto the Payne's gray, and we're going to pick it up. You see it's going to be very, very concentrated. And this time we're going to work from left to right. Very, very concentrated paint this time. Just like that. And you can see we're starting to cover up all this stuff down here that was in the foreground that we painted over. One more time, I'm just going to go right along here. And you see how doing that with the lighter color sort of has pushed that stuff way back into the background. The lighter stuff that we did earlier is now pushed way back into the background. So a little bit more here, and then we're going to be done. Nice, you see how that's covered up all that. All right, so I gave that a quick dry with my hair dryer, and look at how this going over those trees that 3 times really builds up a lot of layers. It really makes it super, super thick, and it's really transformative. You can see that has changed that entire painting, and I think for the better. I'd love to know what you think of it, and I'd love to know if you give this a try, how it turns out for you. And if you're currently a subscriber, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. If you're not currently a subscriber, please consider subscribing to my channel. I'd love to hear from you. Also, here's my email address. If you would give me drop me an email and let me know what it is that you're creating, I'd love to see some of your work. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you again next time.